Hey, my name's Jason Nicholson. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video is absolutely crazy. We've done a video earlier this week that was one of the biggest videos in years on the channel. 170,000 people watched it. And we were talking in there about council tax being abolished and stamp duty being abolished. Well, this is a follow-on from that. This is a new tax that could massively impact people selling properties. And I've got some crazy examples where some people that bought their property in the 80s, they're not even big houses we're talking about here. If this went through, they could have a bill of over £100,000 in tax. You really want to know what's potentially being proposed here. It's not definitely going to happen, but it is something the government are looking at, and it could have a big impact on how much money you've got and how much tax you pay. You'll be gobsmacked when you see these figures. Before I jump into this, if you're new around here and you haven't done already, do make sure you subscribe to the channel over there and hit that bell notification. We're on the way to 48,000 subscribers, and by subscribing, you'll get all the latest house price news just like this. You'll get interest rate news, you'll get property investing news, and much, much more. And I want to get more people aware of this video. Your part's simple. I want to ask you two things. Firstly, smash like, tickle like, do something to that like button. That helps with the YouTube algorithm. And then share this video. Click that share button. You can WhatsApp it. You can email it. You can Facebook message it to one of your friends who needs to know what's going on. So, this is called mansion tax. Now, you're going to see this and you're going to think, well, I haven't got a mansion. But this is where it starts, my friends. And things get stuck. The value that this potentially starts with stays there as house prices go up. You could suddenly become eligible to pay this. And this could really slow down the property market at a time where the higher end of the market is really, really struggling. And so what we want to talk about here is capital gains. And so the property market is something that people can fall into capital gains. There are two main ways that you get capital gains. One is your second home. Your primary residence currently, this is what they're talking about changing, your current primary residence is excluded from capital gains. So what does that mean? It means the house you live in, if you sell it to buy another house, you don't have to pay capital gains. You do have to pay capital gains on second homes. So if you have a buy-to-let property or a holiday home, you have to pay capital gains on that property should you sell it on any uplift in profit. On stocks and shares as well, you have to pay capital gains on those, and that's important to understand here as well. So capital gains is something that you could be eligible for. Now, what they're saying here is that we're looking at putting capital gains on your primary residence. How much is capital gains? Well, it depends on your tax rate. So if you're a basic taxpayer, it stands at 18% currently. That could change as well. If you're a higher rate taxpayer, currently stands at 24%. So it's not insignificant. It's not insignificant. So this is going to be a major problem. So on your primary residence, you don't currently pay this. Now, what they're proposing is that any property above 1.5 million would have capital gains added to it. Now, that's a big problem because that end of the market is just stuck at the moment. People aren't selling those properties. They're trying to sell them, but they're dropping massively and people aren't buying them. This is going to make it 10 times worse. It means people just won't want to sell and they'll get stuck in these properties. Now, £1.5 million, you might be watching this thinking, that's a lot of money, but it depends where you live. In 1980, London house prices were 25 grand. And there are places in London now that could be a 2 or 3 bedroom flat and be worth £1.5 million. And those people are going to get hit potentially with capital gains. Now, this is more likely to happen than the removal of the stamp duty and the removal of the council tax that we did a video where 170,000 people and 5,000 of you commented on that in uproar. This is much more likely to be happening in the autumn budget. So let's just say here that you had a property and you bought it for £800,000. Now, look, I get not everyone can afford that, but in London, there are lots of properties at that level. It doesn't mean that you're a millionaire. Like, it doesn't mean that. You might have bought it in the 70s. But let's just say you bought it for 800k and it went up to being worth £1 million. Not an insignificant increase. Now, let's just say you're on the higher rate. The tax bill on that, and that's happened to a lot of people during the pandemic, the tax on just that would be £47,280. That's crazy, if you ask me. And that is really, really going to cause a lot of damage and mean estate agents, solicitors, so many transactions are going to be crippled in London if they decide to follow through with this. Who would this hit mostly? Well, this is going to hit older people who want to downsize. There's lots of people in London that are looking to downsize, to retire, so they'd be freeing up those properties anyway. This would hit them really, really hard. And long-term people, you don't necessarily have to be old. You have to be a long-term tenant, a long-term owner of the property that's benefited from the increases in that. And that isn't going to be great. Here's a scary stat as well that I've got here. So let's just say that you bought your property in 1980. The average house price in London back then was £25,000. Now, I'm going to give you an example here of the average house price in London. They're saying that this starts at 1.5 million, but often these things start and they roll down. All these houses that are currently at this price, they go up in value eventually and they get into the next threshold. This happens with income tax, it happens with the VAT threshold. More people, due to inflation, jump up into these categories. So you wouldn't be getting this bill right now, but it's a scary example on where things could be. So the house price goes up to today's average, £561,000. Your tax bill on that would be £114,000. £114,000. That's crazy. This mansion tax might sound great for people that maybe live in areas where house prices are cheaper. But look, there are lots of people that have normal jobs that have been able to get on the property ladder in London because they bought early. I don't think it's fair to just penalise them because they were fortunate enough to buy in the right area. To suddenly burden people with huge tax bills is going to mean that they can't downsize in their property. They just can't afford to do it. And it's going to slow the property market down. That's going to hit lots of service-based businesses at a time when the economy is really struggling. I don't think the government has a clue what they're doing at the moment. I tried to keep my content not political a few months ago, but all of the stuff that's been thrown at us at the moment is just frustrating me so much. And I just think they're doing the wrong thing. When Labour were in power last time, we had a very difficult economy. We had the 2008 credit crunch. They cut VAT then, and that stimulated the economy and got things moving somewhat. This Labour is all about increasing the tax on everybody, and I don't think that's the right thing to do. Before you go, if you're not frustrated, sorry, but I think you should be on what's going on. Do comment with what you think about all of this. Do grab my ebook as well. This will help you get a decent mortgage. It's called Mortgage Secrets, How to Get the Best Mortgage Deal in 2025 and Beyond. I'm linking to it in the description below and in the first comment. Also, check out all the other content as well on the channel, including this video right here.